Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Highly Illogical podcast. My name is Trevor. I've got Thomas Kennedy here. I've got Tim Reese Scripture, and I've got Brian Hayes, our special guest today. And yeah, we promised guest, and I delivered, not Tom. So
what the fuck ever? You've been saying for weeks, oh, I'm going to have a guest, and I'm going to have a fucking guest.
We promise, I deliver. That is my name, delivery, Trevor Shelby. So anyways,
before
how have you guys been this week? Before we start,
Brian, Kurt, Cisco, Picard, Janeway, or Pike.
Oh, Cisco. Dude, you don't stand your ground in Deep Space Nine next to a wormhole when the Dominion starts attacking and not be the best. Or at least the biggest badass of all of them. He definitely was. He was the Shaft of Deep Space Nine.
You got a steady argument for your choice. I like that.
I'm just saying, like,
yeah, steady
you
argument.
can run in a.
And this was completely unprompted. I had this in my head to do this, and you say Picard, but you didn't say Picard.
No. Picard is like always going to be there, but Cisco, you only get Cisco's every once in a while.
Picard is in my top 6.
Oh, definitely.
TV show captains.
He saved the entire reality. How many times now? I mean, come on. Q is fucking with him constantly.
Oh, Mr. Trevor over there will say, oh, but Janeway had Q's child.
What? Q's okay. Well, we're not going to go there because
they were in the Delta Quadrant. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I always liked Janeway because Janeway got put in all those situations, and it always reminded me of Lost in Space, and always enjoyed that. And it was one of the first, besides Deep Space Nine, because Deep Space Nine was doing it arguably maybe better, but they had this continuous storyline, not like episode, and that by the end of the episode everything was wrapped up and good to go. So
right,
they had this continuous thing. Like if you with anything before that, it was a 2-parter, and so you have 2 episodes to wrap it up. So one whole season of Voyager is nothing but them trying to get through Borg space.
Right.
So
true. They did have the more arc over-ending storylines than the other series did, at least more per.
But let's be real. Geordi, Scotty, and O'Brien would have had the ship back before the end of the first episode.
That's true. I don't even remember who the ship's engineer was on the Voyager. He didn't stand out.
Exactly.
They focus more on the bridge crew, okay?
It's a small ship.
And they had 7 of 9, and you know what?
Because they couldn't afford 9 of 9.
Yeah. They didn't save him. But
Hugh, they couldn't afford Hugh.
And I think I've mentioned it before. I like I do like a lot of the crossover stuff, and I do like the fact that, and I think it's a link with I think it's originally a link with Deep Space Nine and Star Trek The Next Generation, when they have the whole bidding war over the wormhole.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you have the Ferengis that end up going through, and they get lost. Like they keep warning them that the wormhole is going to close, and that's going to be an end.
I remember that.
Okay, so there's a Voyager episode where they run across Ferengis in the Delta Quadrant, and they're like gods on this planet. They've made first contact, and they think that they're gods, and it's the same Ferengis from that episode, and it's just freaking hilarious. And I just like the random crossovers like that. There was another episode where Q was on Voyager, and he had popped over. Jonathan Frakes. What was his character?
Riker. Yeah.
Riker. Yeah.
Number one.
He pops Riker over there on Voyager.
I remember
and
that
and he stands there. He's like, "What?" And then he pops him back. And I was always wondered, like, man, they should do an episode where he's like, "I was on Voyager."
You see him walk into a bathroom.
Yeah.
End up on Voyager sitting on a toilet.
Yeah.
Now,
But-
Trevor, have you read any of the Terry Pratchett's Discworld's books?
I have not.
Okay.
I've wanted to, but I haven't.
No. I'm thinking of Robert Asprin's books, the myth stories. Have you read those? Okay, well, in the myth stories, they have these characters in it called devils from a dimension called Diva,
Yeah.
who completely remind me of the Ferengi. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, that whole wheel and deal kind of thing. Like, the characters to me are just spot on Ferengi.
Yeah.
It's a really good book, though.
I think the best one was Quark. He did.
Mhm.
Was
He
awesome.
Come on.
He did that part perfectly. I thought that was awesome.
Or the guy who played Quark's brother, he passed away recently, but the character was kind of annoying until it started growing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Didn't Odo just die recently too?
yeah, he
Yeah,
died
he
a
did.
few months ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Have you
Sorry.
guys? Speaking of space type TV shows, have you guys watched Space Force yet on Netflix?
Not yet. No.
Okay, so I started the first few episodes, and it was what drew me to it is because it's by the same people that did The Office, I guess, or some of the people that did The Office.
Yeah, Steve Carell's in it.
He's acting it, but I mean, like the people that actually wrote and created The Office are writing and creating this show, and so I watched the first few episodes, and I'm completely hooked on it. It is just as ridiculous as The Office, and it's got Steve Carell in it. John Malkovich is in it. He's in every
Nice.
episode. Lisa Kudrow from Friends
Awesome.
is in it. She's in her part. I'm not going to do any spoilers or anything, but her part, and because this happens like first few minutes, she is Steve's wife, and then for like whatever reason, like she is in prison. Like at first she's not, and then all of a sudden she's in prison, and it's hilarious because she keeps throwing in stuff. She keeps telling him, I guess she's going to be in prison for quite a while, and she's like, "If you need to move on, I understand." And and he's like, "No, I'm married, and we're a unit together, to death do us part." And she goes, "You have to accept things, if it happens, it happens. You have to accept things even if you can't control them." She goes, "At least that's what my celly says." And it's like, oh.
Right in
so-
his face, man.
But no, it's a great show.
I'm so gonna
the-
watch that now.
Yeah, the most recent episode, they got a satellite that's malfunctioning, and he sent they're all the scientists and NASA and all, they're not really NASA, it's Space Force, but all the scientists are really trying to find out like a scientific way to get one of the solar panels have detached. And so they're trying to get them to reattach. And so they were like, if we use light rays and we like aim it just perfectly, they'll go back to where they're supposed to be and we can get it connected. And Steve Carell is like, okay, we've got a chimp in space right now, so we could get the chimp. And they split up into two teams, and he's running a chimp team with scientists that are just like, oh my God. It is so funny.
That's awesome.
But no, it's a great show. I'm loving it, and I keep getting surprised about their cast. There's people that keep popping up in there that I was not aware. Fred Willard is in it. This is before he passed away, and so yeah, it was his part is he's his dad, and he's just getting in all kinds of trouble. he doesn't know what he's doing, and he calls his granddaughter, and he's like, oh, or she calls him, and he's like, oh, good, you're not kidnapped anymore. So I sent that money, that worked. And she was like, Dad, she was like, Grandpa, don't send people money. I wasn't kidnapped. Oh, it's amazing. But yeah, it's a great show.
This is John Malkovich's first time doing a series type role, isn't it?
That I know of.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that he's been in.
If he has, I'm looking at his IMDb.
I mean, maybe
nothing like that sticks out like a TV series like this. He's done some other things that are like a show called The New Pope that sounds pretty in depth, but I don't know. But
so can we talk about how Netflix has an unhealthy obsession with Oklahoma?
Yes.
They're on their third documentary about something from Oklahoma. Like the first was The Innocent Man, serial killer. Then there was, Joe Exotic, Tiger King, and now the Red Dog, a documentary about the nastiest strip club in Oklahoma City.
Oh my God, they're actually doing a documentary on the Red Dog.
It's out. Yes. It's out.
Yeah,
right now.
It's out. Yeah.
I mean, this is my only memory from the Red Dog was one of my friends got lactated on by the dancer.
Oh my God. Oh. That's it. I can't live in Oklahoma anymore.
That is awful.
If I go out of town, I'm not telling anybody I'm from Oklahoma.
Everyone I meet online or in somewhere else, I'm like, I'm not from Joe. Not everyone's like the Tiger King in Oklahoma. Some of us are like, Garth Brooks, Oklahoma. Okay. Well, quite literally.
I suppose that's better.
I mean, I did technically live just down the street from his old house. So that being said, you used to be able to run into Garth Brooks at the local Albertsons.
I actually went to the Tiger place, whatever it was called, way back in the day.
Yeah.
Not overly proud of that, but
nothing to not be proud about.
No, absolutely.
I mean,
what's wrong with
fucking Baskin now owns it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm super glad I didn't admit that on like a thing where people are going to be watching it and streaming it to like social media and whatever. Yeah, that's a good thing too.
Yeah. Well, you're safe here.
Right.
So
anonymity.
This is your face.
Words.
I hear you're big in Bangladesh now.
Yes. Different parts of Middle Eastern countries. We're really good. So Australia is big right now for us. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
We've had a lot of downloads from Australia. That don't know why, but whatever.
Well, hey, I mean, our analytics usually is like 80%, Middle Eastern, and the rest from other places. So we're doing good. We're branching out.
Yeah, exactly.
If we ever need to get rid of any of them, I could always do a story on that location and use their accent, destroy it, and then have them not watch us anymore.
I noticed our German numbers went down.
All the way down to 9.
Well, that's funny because today I'm destroying the Russians.
Okay, well, that's good.
Got to get them Bolsheviks in there.
Yeah, well, there you go. We don't discriminate. So I want to talk about something that I have delved into, that I've gone into the bowels of the internet and have dug up, and I've now consumed with this knowledge, and I feel like I have to share it, that I can't be the only one that thinks about this. It's kept me up at night. It's very disturbing, so prepare yourselves. Who here has played the original Donkey Kong?
Wait, when you
original
say original
Donkey Kong, like Donkey Kong throwing barrels,
yes,
and you're jumping over them.
I have played the original Donkey Kong.
Okay, so you've got Donkey Kong, and then you've got this little guy who looks like Mario jumping over the.
It is Mario.
Oh, okay. Here's where it gets a little interesting.
I kind of felt like this was where that was going to go.
Character is called Jumpman. Jumpman is. He wears a little bit different clothing. He wears blue and red instead of Mario's typical attire. And I guess his original story was that he's a carpenter and not a plumber. So an argument can be made that Jumpman is not Mario. And it's been established in Donkey Kong games that the original Donkey Kong is Cranky Kong and from Donkey Kong Country. So Donkey Kong has aged to become Cranky Kong. I don't know if you know who he is from Donkey Kong Country games.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So if Mario is the same age as Donkey Kong from Donkey Kong Country, then why would he be, like there's an age discrepancy from way back when there's barrels being thrown down scaffolding. So okay.
I like how you just break it down to exactly that. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
A big angry gorilla throwing barrels down scaffolding at a...
Okay, so Jumpman might be Mario's father, Mario and Luigi's father, okay? And he is dead because of Donkey Kong. And I follow this logic because in Donkey Kong Jr., at the end of the game, Donkey Kong Jr. sets free Donkey Kong. And the scaffolding thing falls and he catches Donkey Kong. Well, Jumpman is like the bad guy in that game. And Jumpman falls to his death. He actually hits the floor and he has a little halo pop up above him. Like, no joke. I watched it right before I did this just to make sure I was correct on this. I've watched the YouTube video. So that just means he's dead. I mean, that's what happens in the game whenever you normally die. A little halo would pop up above your head. So, but you usually had an extra life or whatever to continue the game. So Donkey Kong Jr., in a way, has murdered Jumpman, Mario's father. And that could, that's why the Marios hate the Donkey Kongs and stuff. It makes so much more sense now to me.
Don't recall.
You went way too far down the rabbit hole on that.
Right, you're gonna start drawing mushrooms and like bananas on everything. There's a connection.
There is a connection.
But there is. So there's another one then, and it's about one of the games I didn't play, but Luigi's Mansion, and supposedly in it, one of the brothers is supposed to be dead, a ghost, and I think it's Luigi, right?
Yeah, I'm not really sure on that because I heard I've heard that before, and it kind of like Luigi's Mansion. Right, Luigi may be kind of dead in it.
Right, like you're roaming around, and effectively, it's kind of like the whole like mirror thing where you don't realize which side of the pane you're on until you get to the end, and you're like, oh, that's why it's so weird here because I'm in Silent fucking Hill.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Silent Hill makes sense and.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
I wondered why the flusher was on the wrong side of the toilet. Now I know why. I'm in a parallel dimension. Great. They shake with the left.
Okay, so I was thinking that in the Zelda universe, that what ties Mario to Zelda is that Mario's family kind of gave up their family photos in like a church jumble or something like that, and Zelda, her kingly father, went and bought it and started hanging up pictures all over the game. And that's why you see Mario in Zelda games. This is my theory.
You just I like how you it's like you just came up with that.
No, it's actually I did. But it's true though. Mario's pictures are in Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time. You can see Bowser in one of the photos in Ocarina of Time at the castle.
Oh, wow.
So I am wondering how or why Mario ties into the Zelda universe. I just thought I'd try and come up with some kind of kooky theory for you.
Yeah.
You didn't watch that Captain Nintendo show they used to have, or what was it? That cartoon where it was him and Mega Man, Rockman, the princess, and something else, and he had the controller belt buckle.
Huh.
Oh yeah.
I can't be the only one that remembers that fucking
Apparently
show.
Trevor remembers it.
Is that with it had the live action Mario? It was Captain Lou Albino. Or
Yes.
Yes, and
the wrestler. I remember that. Yeah.
He would present it.
He would present the show, and then it would go into like the little world.
Because there was the Mario show as well, and
Yeah.
then there was the Zelda show, and then there was the Captain Nintendo, or whatever the hell.
Okay,
it was,
yeah, I do remember.
And he's got the light gun.
Yeah.
And it's the whole I travel to another dimension because it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
I did want to throw up another one that I ruined one of my son's friends' reality the other day with Phineas and Ferb.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So if you're going to go into a little bit of, if you let me go into just a short little, what do we call it? Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Okay. So Phineas and Ferb. So Phineas and Ferb is actually now part of the MCU because there was a mini-series set of episodes where the Avengers actually came to their town to help save some cataclysmic event that the boys hadn't triggered, but probably Doofenshmirtz started. And so the Phineas and Ferb end up working with the Avengers to fix this. So that puts them in the MCU, okay? Just like anything else, when you do a little crossover, it's just like, what was it, St. Elmo's Fire, right? Like we're all still part of that kid's dream.
Yeah.
So my question, that it's not really a conspiracy theory then. I guess my question is, so which one of them, Phineas or Ferb, went with the snap?
Whoa.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Or did one of them go, did Perry go with the snap? Did Doofenshmirtz go with the snap? So what about all those characters? What happened to them during the snap and in between?
Dude, it's too early for this shit, dude.
And then he just
I'm
walked
thinking about it,
away.
like, oh my gosh.
Yep. And then he just walked away really sad at the fact that I'd probably just ruined his childhood cartoon. Oh, and that also means then that throws in Jimmy Neutron, all of the characters from Fairly Odd Parents. What's the other one? Danny Phantom, and there's one other one that are all tied into it then because they have all had crossover episodes together with Jimmy Neutron. And that puts them also then in the same universe as Phineas and Ferb, and then also in the MCU, which means that probably half of your favorite Nickelodeon characters growing up were gone.
My Life as a Teenage Robot? I was trying to think of what the last one was.
No, but that's another one I don't.
Star Trek.
I can't account for that one. Yeah,
the
it is.
Star Trek universe is a part of the MCU. Yeah.
Ooh, I do have one more. I just read just because you said that, and I'm sorry, and I'll stop.
No, you're fine.
No,
so the other theory I just read a couple days ago is that Predator, what was Arnold Schwarzenegger's character in Predator? Major D.
I don't remember.
Anyways, so his character in Predator is actually supposed to be the predecessor to the original Terminator. So when the Terminator came back in time to kill Sarah Connor, that Terminator's design was based off of his character in Predator from his fight with the Predator, because the Predator is also then what ties both those universes together.
So Dutch.
The Predator ties Dutch. Yeah, it's Dutch. So, and there's apparently a series of some kind where effectively they create a robot to fight off an alien, and the robot's designation is something like Dutch 01. And that's where the connection is supposed to be. And so that ties it back to one side and then to the other and then backwards. So that he is effectively he was the human incarnation of what was the T-100 or T-800 was going to be, the original Terminator. And then I think the side spot of that then was that, oh God, what was it? Oh, I just lost my train of thought on that one. I'll come back to that if I remember it. There's another piece that ties into that, and I can't remember what it was now. But that's enough to screw with you.
Yeah. I'm
going to go take a nap.
Yeah. This is
fetal
the shit that
position.
kept me out of the really good schools.
Text me when my segment comes up.
I never thought I'd have one of our 2 a.m. conversations at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Well, it's 10 now.
Oh,
I always like how the conspiracy, like, you know, you start thinking about things and you can really start putting things together with a lot of these different series.
Oh, I remember what it was now.
Okay.
So the Terminator series, they never meant to kill John. They only meant to kill Sarah. When they started going back to screw with John, it was to discredit him and to make their technology better. That was the other one. So they always sent back the best tech so that it got destroyed and then was already in the past, and they could build off that. So the next tech was better, and then they would send that tech, and they would destroy that tech. And so effectively, they stopped trying to kill Sarah and started just sending it back to better their own tech. Since they couldn't win the fight, they decided to outsmart. And then supposedly that's all in plans then for the alien invasion. That's how it all tied together. That's right. So that's then how they create the first Terminator based off of Dutch, is to fight the alien invasion because he's already killed the alien.
Wow.
And then they just start going backwards in time because of the Connors. They do their own little Groundhog Day to stop that.
Yeah. Have you seen the Predator, the new video game? The way it's set up is one person will play as the Predator, and then you have a team of people that are playing as people just trying to survive, basically.
Marines or whatever.
Like, yeah. And so you start off the game one way or the other, and the Predator's got you can choose all these different options of different loadouts, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got all this stuff like where you fire the little spinning disc, or you can have what is it, the laser, like where you're like the cannon or whatever on your arm and all that. The game is hilarious because they've got all the sounds and everything. So they've got like the Marines kind of have like their mission where they go in and they've got to like stop this encampment of like terrorists or some jungle organization or something, and they're trying to shut them down. But then you hear that growling noise in the Predator movies. I can't reproduce it, so it's very mechanical.
Oh no, come on.
Yeah,
give us a go. Give us a go.
Yeah,
that's not it. Right.
And you'll see like the laser come in on them, and that's just before like there's a blast or something, and it is hilarious. I've watched teams of people that don't really know what they're doing, and I've seen people that are playing as the Predator, and it's hilarious how bad the movies would have been if it played out this way, where the Marines were actively hunting down the Predator while the Predator just is running from them. And it's just so funny. I've enjoyed, I don't actually have the game. I've watched a few gameplays of it. And so it's pretty.
That would be an excellent Oculus Rift game to watch people play, but not watch the game, the physics.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't do VR. I can't do it.
I don't have anything to try it other than the little cheap things you can get for your cell phones where you can put them on and you can ride the roller coaster and stuff. But the full VR gig, I would like to try, but I have a feeling it would mess with my senses too much. I rely too much on the auditory.
Yeah. Now, if it's like I've got the PlayStation set up, and so I play the Star Trek Bridge Commander. Mm-hmm. That one's a lot of fun because you're stationary. You're sitting in one spot and you're hitting buttons on a console. That's fun. The other games, like I got No Man's Sky, and it's got a VR option, and you do like you can have like where it kind of jolts you around, or you can just have normal free walk. And I try to do the normal free walk, and it just messes with me. It's like you're walking down a hill, and I feel like I need to be walking down a hill, and like I'll spin around and shoot at something, and it just messes with me, and I get all dizzy. I can't handle it.
My problem is I don't trust anyone in my family not to come up and hit me in the back or something, or to like rip me, or the dog jumps out of nowhere and hits me in the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I can't trust my family enough to play VR.
Yeah.
You accidentally step on Mango or Fifi?
Oh, Jesus, no. That'd be the time that Fifi would crawl up my leg.
I still don't get why he gets the cool intro music and I get me singing.
Ignoring that and welcoming you once again to What Happened Today, Then. On this day, in 1752, the second of 3 fires is lit in Moscow, Russia. I call this story, Tsar is Thicker Than Family. Anyways, the fire started on the 24th of June in an area where the buildings were mostly made of wood, taking the lives of some 3,700 Russians and severely wounding one writer, philosopher, and painter, the Metropolitan Mercurius. That one's a tough name. I think I'm saying it right. Anyways, Mercurius was thought to have had this to say on the matter. I am a master of many things, but I am no good at running from fire. What do you expect? No one is good at everything. The Tsar at this time was the infamous Ivan the Terrible, and it was said that it was his family that had started the fires. Ivan, being the great guy he was, just let his family get stoned to death for these crimes, except for his grandmother, who was thought to have started the fire using magic.
That makes sense.
Right? Old Vanny didn't turn her in. Did not turn her into the mob. Can't read my own handwriting. That's awesome. A man has to have his principles. And that's what happened today. Then.
Wow.
Too early for me to do this. So tired.
So they set a fire magically. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, Megan.
So there's magic fire.
Mhm.
Obviously, since it's magic, I mean, it's hard to control. You know, that could go. I mean, who hasn't had a magic fire that has gotten a little out of control? So,
you know what I think it was is the fact that he, didn't do enough, of his Russian voice to make up for his German voice he did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
that's why the fire happened.
Maybe. But he didn't turn in his grandmother, so does that really make him so terrible? I mean,
I think there was actually other reasons that Ivan was considered terrible. We'll go into that further, I'm sure, one of these days.
I don't know this Ivan guy, but he sounds like he's a protector of the elderly, and I don't know.
I feel that one does not earn the name terrible by being super duper great and nice and sweet.
Okay, well, I don't know.
He was terrible at being bad.
And at controlling fires. Well.
Duh.
Oh.
Do svidanya. That's all I got for you guys. Sorry.
I don't know what you said there.
It's goodbye, basically.
And what's a Russian story without vodka, man? They didn't have any
drink.
vodka.
I didn't say anything about
How do you think they started the fire?
Yeah.
We soaked the wood in their vodka, and then we set the house up. It's fine.
Mom, did you hear? Ivan made that he is now the Tsar.
Yeah.
Yes, let's all drink vodka and just burn this shit down.
Oh, yes. Probably stems from an argument. They probably got into a fight, and Grandma looked at him and said, "Listen, I'll burn this whole motherfucker to the ground. You won't do a damn thing about it because I'm your grandma." And Ivan went, Probably.
Right.
And she did.
With her mystical Russian magical power. Woo! Fire. I need to go back to bed.
Now, what if there was like a twist in the story and his grandmother's name was Molotov? and and she was just making some cocktails, and magic
it would
fire.
look like magic, yeah. Especially back there in
What's wrong, Tom?
1752. Actually, never mind. 1750.
I don't know what to say about that.
He's given up. So, yeah. Well, that was a very interesting story. I didn't know that many people died in a fire, though, like back then. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Pretty sad, though.
It was more than one fire. Like this date that we're in right now, it was the second of 3 fires. So basically took them 3 fires to figure out, hey, the Tsar's family's messing with us.
Probably.
If in fact, that was who set the fires.
Probably caused some legislation that dealt with fire control and, magic control, I mean.
Yeah.
So
that falls under the Ministry of Magic. They deal with that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, when the Wizards Council met up on that one,
yeah,
some heads rolled.
Those automatic fire spells were no longer. So, yeah. Anyways, Tom, what do you got? Oh yeah.
So, what's your segment?
He's not doing anything.
No,
so
let's do anything. Yeah.
Let's talk about some anime. Something that we talked about a few weeks ago was that I've never been on the right track with anime, and I just don't know where to start. And so that's why we brought our guest.
Well, like Netflix has some really great easy shit that you can get to right now that just about anybody can get to. So Netflix has done really good with a lot of their original animes that they've done. So the very, very first one they did was called Knights of Sidonia, and is actually what I had pulled up on the back.
Yeah.
So it is a very trying to think of how to say. So the animation on that is a little bit more computer generated to a degree where they've got that kind of shiny feel to them a little bit. Mm-hmm. Not quite as bad as some of the like late 90s style stuff used to be, like the original like Appleseed and stuff like that. But it's a kind of a crossover mecha space anime. So it's the last surviving humans all disband on these little colony ships, and it literally looks like an asteroid with a booster rocket on it. And they're flying through space trying to find a new home. They're constantly being chased by this weird like space cancer. It's this strange evolving gelatinous thing that seems to hunt down living life forms, and it connects to them and basically takes them over. Kind of think like The Thing, only in space, and it's pink. So they don't really have a way to kill it. You can blow it away, but unless you break the core of it, you can't kill it. And they have one mineral that can break the core, and they have like 9 spears made out of it, and that's it. And using one breaks it every time.
Oh wow.
So they're flying through space, and they use these giant mecha to fight these. They call it Ghana, is what it's called in the show, is Ghana. So they use these giant mecha to fight them. Well, it's a pretty losing battle. Imagine like Battlestar Galactica. Every time they go out against Cylon, one less Raptor comes back, right? Mm-hmm. Same kind of concept. So eventually this teenager gets found. It's always a teenager.
Yeah.
It's always a teenager. If you're 40 and you think you could ever be a superhero in an anime, you're the old guy that everybody's getting their power from. Or the best you can do is hope to eventually turn into Master Roshi.
Yeah.
Nice.
Who was the guy in Dragon Ball Z, he was in the Cell games, and he was like the human guy, and he was
Mr. Satan.
Mr. Satan, yeah.
Mr. Satan.
I always like him.
Yes. So anyways, with this one, it's got some very weird elements to it when it comes to, I won't say over-sexualization of some things, but we'll just say that humans don't connect and reproduce in the same way they used to. So most of the human beings at this point use photosynthesis to feed themselves. And this one teenager comes out who's a clone of their mighty hero who comes to save them. So he's been basically brought up and taught in a training pod using their mecha system. and is effectively put into the family heirloom of the deceased guy he was cloned from, who was their eponymous hero that got them as far as they did. So he takes over from there. And through about 2 seasons, they do eventually find somewhere to go, but it is an amazing it was an amazing thing to watch. They did a really neat job of a lot of mecha anime is real flashy, and especially if you're a fan of like Gundam stuff like that, it's usually fashion over form. Make it look really cool and make it do all these really neat things that don't actually work in gravity, but that's fine. We don't worry about that. Let the magic of cinema wash over you. We've got space now, so you don't have to worry about that. But what you now have is we have this really big, cool weapon, but it really doesn't work against the enemy unless we get really close and stab them with this thing. They do work out a gun that's really pimp, but it's real hard to use. And the only really other cool kind of weapon thing they do deploy off of their spaceship. So imagine this is a colony-sized ship. This thing effectively has its own inner habitat into it where people live. It has its own gravity to an extent. They do have rails everywhere, so in case they have to make a quick turn, everybody has to lock on, or you'll be slammed into the wall and splattered across, or maybe shot 2 miles out. They have a heavy matter cannon that they use to deflect the Ghana. It's effectively firing just a chunk of meteor at it. That's just a big cylindrical chunk, probably the size of Texas. It's neat. That was fun to watch. Another great one on Netflix is 7 Deadly Sins. That one's pretty easy. That one's got...
Love that one.
Yeah, there you go. 7 Deadly Sins. My son actually turned me on to that one. That one was excellent. It's got your kind of fantasy, might and magic, supposedly bad guys being the good guys.
Lots of twists. I like it.
Lots of twists. It kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball Z in that everybody has like a continual power up throughout. They get better, they get stronger, they get new attacks, they get new weapons, they get new stuff. I think that stuff's kind of flashy. I always enjoy it. It's kind of fun to watch those little things progress. It reminds me of old simple anime. It's not one that you have to dive real deep into. It doesn't have a lot of deeper meaning necessarily that you have to glean from it. Knights of Sidonia has probably got a lot of politics to it as well. So it's probably a little bit more adult oriented. The 7 Deadly Sins, a little more adult oriented in maybe some of its animation styles, but realistically its storyline is pretty benign when it comes to that.
I liken it to Deadpool in that it's kind of an anti-hero.
Yes, exactly. Another one that I wanted to bring up, I don't know, you may know about it, The Rising of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hero. Now, it's not on Netflix. Okay, The Rising of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hero is really good. It's one of those that'll piss you off because, unfortunately, it's on about a 2-year hiatus from about 2 seasons forward while they build up the manga and they build up the anime. But it's effectively, if you watched Sword Art Online or like the Dot Hack Sign, any of those kind of shows where the characters are in a video game, it draws a lot from that. What it does is he's the S.H.I.E.L.D. hero himself. Nafumi is drawn into this world of might and magic against his will. He opens up a book reading about some kind of game and gets sucked in. What it seems like to him is effectively a game where you have 4 heroes. The sword hero, the spear hero, the bow hero, and the shield hero are all summoned to protect this realm from waves of demons. So imagine an old school NES game where you're one of 4 characters and you're just fighting waves of bad guys to save the kingdom. It's that, only in this case, no one likes the shield hero. For some reason, the whole country is automatically against him. So he already starts off behind. He starts off ostracized. He gets all his money taken away, and he starts off very, very, very angry. He can't take his shield off, and he can't go home, and he can't do anything without either fighting all the waves and winning or dying. Eventually, he starts unlocking powers within his shield. He actually becomes the anti-hero as well, because the whole kingdom sees him as a bad guy anyways, just because he's the hero of the shield. But he goes around cleaning up lots of messes that the other heroes are making by being so catered to and well funded. So he ends up making quite a bit of friends in the outside realms. He has a couple of demi-humans that act as his allies that fight with him, and he actually eventually unleashes a cursed version of his shield that really makes the series neat. I have to say that was really fun to watch, because the angrier he gets, the more powerful his shield becomes, and he's supposed to be the defensive hero, and he ends up being one of the most powerful ones of all of them, because he understands how well to control his weapon he has, its abilities, but also the people. The people also help. He makes it in good with the princess and with the queen as friends after he saves them, and they admonish the king and the other princess for what they've done. It's a neat series to watch. It's got a lot of action. It's very similar to some of the actiony shots like you have in Seven Deadly Sins and Dragon Ball Z, where you have the continual power up during the struggle of the fight, where the character just unleashes all hell and starts blowing shit apart. It's great.
This isn't even my final form.
No, yeah. It's over 9,000. No, yeah, it's great. That was one of the things I was happy to see with the kind of reemergence of Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z was always easy because it was a simple anime, in and of the fact that one episode was actually an entire season. But and they could stretch out 2 minutes to 37 episodes.
Right.
Planet Namek really hung in there for those 120 seconds.
It took a good beating.
that they fought for 2 fucking years. So I'm just saying, like, I consider anime like that. They're a little more simple. You can come into pretty much any episode on Dragon Ball Z and just watch it and go. If it's a boring episode, skip it. If it's slow, give it 5 minutes. It'll. But the fun thing with Dragon Ball Z is you get to see that just immense power up and all that energy. And now they've continued it on. Now they're godlike, and now they've accidentally released a god that was in a different dimension that screwed up something else. And if anybody's seen the new Broly film, is also on, I want to say Netflix, or somebody's got. I think it's Netflix. Netflix has the Fusion, which was the rebirth of Vegeta, and they have the new Broly film. So they did a reimage of Broly, where since the occurrences of Dragon Ball Super, I want to say Super, it was Super, where there were universes that were brought back into existence that didn't exist prior to the Dragon Ball Z series. So in the end of the not the end, but in one of the tournaments of power that they have, it is effectively to determine which universes get to exist and which ones do not. They have accidentally brought in 2 universal deities into existence by bringing one from a decomposing universe and brought him into ours. And they became fast friends, and they love Goku, but they like watching him fight. So they want him to see him fight. So they bring all the universes together and everybody fights. And if you lose, you're gone. Whole universe, bam, gone. So events occur where some universes are brought back that didn't exist before anything. So that actually then includes the original Super Saiyan. So with him coming back, then that puts a tilt of balance in power as to Goku being the top dog of the Saiyans to now this guy is, but he is by such a vast margin. So I haven't gotten to watch. There is a movie or series where they'll be fighting. I haven't gotten to see that one yet. The Broly one's kind of neat because it takes place where the Broly character wasn't treated in the same way, didn't come to Vegeta and Goku in the same manner, and it ends up they just have to destroy him like they've had to the multiple other reincarnations of Broly. This one managed to actually have some humanity. I thought that was kind of neat. But again, Dragon Ball Z is one of those you can kind of come in any episode. If you're just looking for something to watch, some fun, and an awesome fight, man, nothing beats a Dragon Ball Z fight.
Yeah.
Especially if you got 30 episodes to put into it.
One of the things that I always like, but I've never actually delved, besides Dragon Ball Z, I've never really delved too much into anime. But Megan loves it. I mean, she's always watching it. And the wide variety of shows is hilarious to me. She watches anything from, it could be giant mechs, or it could be about a devil and this is like a literal show, a devil that works at a fast food restaurant. Yeah. And I actually kind of got into that one. That one was kind of funny.
Kind of slice of life thing, right?
Yeah. This is kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know. I always like Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball. I watched those, the subbed version, I guess you would say, and didn't get too much into it until later on in life, basically with watching the Funimation version, and then. But yeah, I'm definitely going to check some of those out, especially anything that's kind of likened to that. I guess will follow the line.
One of the ones that I really like right now is you can see it on what's the anime streaming thing. Man, anyways, it's called Dr. Stone.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's something. Let's forget about that. Anyways, it's called Dr. Stone, and they've only got one season right now. It's a really good show, and the story is really unique in that it's not about like superheroes or anything like that, but you have like this scenario in which everybody is like insta-fossilized, and only a few people come back due to being pissed on by bats. But
that's true. That's true.
But one of the people that's brought back is this kid who is essentially just super duper high IQ scientist type kid who is trying to rebuild the world from basically the Stone Age. And the idea of taking already known technology and being able to advance it from a reset point, to me, is like a really interesting storyline.
Yeah, it's kind of like Castaway if you were hyper intelligent and had access to old technology, because it's like thousands and thousands and thousands of years later, isn't it?
Yeah,
that they start to wake up. I've watched a couple episodes, and it's really pretty to watch. It is a really pretty one to watch. It's very crisp and colorful. I really appreciate those because I grew up in the 80s anime where we had to deal with really fudgy representations and copy cuts that we got in. So I love good, clean, crisp black outlines. I got bad eyes. I'm 40. Come on, give me a chance. I just want to watch a little bit, I mean, just make it easy, make it enjoyable. But yeah, that one is actually really, really, really pimp. And I like how he kind of picks his character base to kind of start with. Like he kind of starts off like,
my daughter is now in the video trying to pick my nose.
Oh yeah.
1 second. I think she's trying to get my attention.
That's
You're fine, brother.
Go for it.
What's up, buddy?
He's right though. It is pretty serial to watch, and he does kind of do a little start at the beginning where he's kind of doing like a character class pick on who he's going to try and bring back. And so of course he brings back his friend the Meathead and brings him back in as his fighter, because there's still animals and stuff around. And there's still things to deal with in nature, and so he needs, he's incredibly intelligent, but he needs muscle, and so that's the first thing he gets is some muscle. It's very interesting to watch. Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to finish watching it, but it is a good series to start.
What was that series that you were it was several years ago. You were enthralled by this series. Basically, you're in a virtual world fighting, and if you died in the virtual world, you died in the real world and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, so that's actually Sword Art Online. So the first series of Sword Art Online starts off where the characters are all enjoying this massive multi-online game, and you use a headset to log into it, and it effectively takes over your consciousness. It locks you into it. You're asleep, and it's feeding everything to your brain directly. Well, they get locked in and explained by the creator that it's now a game. Whoever beats the game frees everybody, but whoever dies in the game dies for real. And you've probably seen it, Tim, right? Sword Art Online?
No, I have not.
You haven't? That's another good one to start. And that one's on Netflix as well. I think that one's pretty easy to get to. It's pretty simple. There's a lot of... it has a genre name, and that's actually kind of where the Shield Hero one is too. There's a genre specific to effectively ending up in virtual worlds or in video game related worlds, and being stuck in them. So like Dot Hack Sign was an old one I never watched back from the 90s that is forever, like it's got a lot. There's a lot of stuff if you want to catch up on that, and that's what it is. It is so about mid 80s, early 90s, there was a show called Record of Lotus War. So Record of Lotus War was an anime series created by two guys who were effectively writing out their D&D sessions. All the characters, all the storyline, everything was all pulled from D&D. Yeah. Yep.
These are all Megan has all the PlayStation games.
Yeah, so that series I think is kind of one of the first ones to really start that kind of a concept of being in the game, and the series revolves around what happens in the game. So then Sword Art takes it where you're stuck in the game and you die out of it. And they level up like normal characters. They get stronger. You have your hero, the Black Swordsman, who ends up being the main character and being the most unique character and having like a one only skill set that no one else can have, and he's actually able to carry that skill set past that series into different games you get stuck in. So after that one, they get out of that one, they get pulled into another game where people are supposedly dying, and he gets pulled in to investigate. There's another one where he goes in to save his girlfriend, and in the latest series, which I haven't been keeping up on, but my son has been. They're actually trying to repair his brain from damage, and he's on a ship stuck in a game. And of course, then the ship gets overrun by military police and some shit. So like it is constantly kind of a battle like that. It is really neat to watch, though. It's mostly in the fantasy realm, the very first series. So you get a lot of that kind of magic and swords. And the second series gives you some guns. Dude, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Listen, I came out into my garage because otherwise my dog or my children would be all up in my business. But both of my kids are grown. Like I got a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old baby. It only gets better.
Oh, well, my 10-year-old's pretty fun.
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
So I got a question.
Hey,
so since
Please say hi.
Since they've made video games on the dot hack, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So would you play a game like? If they made a Sword Art Online game, would you play that knowing the risk that the storyline is you getting stuck in a game?
Well, they didn't know that in the beginning.
Well, I mean, you know that, and if they made a video game
now.
based upon that, like, would
I'm not putting on
I wouldn't trust
anything that has a microwave emitter on my head. We're going to start with that. That was maybe flaw number one, was talking 50,000 people into putting a microwave emitter helmet on and telling them it was going to be fine.
Yeah.
If we're going to do a reality check, the beauty of anime is that it's just like movies, right? You get to ignore all reality. Well, anime gives you a little bit more freedom in that we don't need a set. We don't need people. We can give you the most bizarre thing, or we can give you the most intricate detail, and we can make it as real as we want it, and we can make it as fake as we want it. If you can watch any Gundam series, you can pick one Gundam series out of any line, and you can hit almost any kind of genre with it. Everybody thinks Gundam giant robots, right? They did start that, but Gundam has always been more about war, especially the original Gundam series. It's been more about war than it has been about the giant robots. The giant robots are just a tool, but they are really cool to watch. But
I'm trying to think. There is a anime series that I watched, and it's probably what ruined me on anime. It's probably the start of my decline. It was about giant robots, and it was like these teenagers that controlled them. Evangelion,
yeah.
Okay.
Evangelion,
so I loved it until it ended. And I was so confused, and I didn't know what happened. And then they made a movie, and the movie, I've got to say, is worse than the episode that they gave for the last episode. And I was so confused.
That's a real tricky one. So even I loved Eva, but I don't understand. Like to me, I always go for the most bleakest ending I can find anyways.
I am so professional.
I love it.
So it's a little bit more difficult on that one. That one has got such a spiritual like connection to it, and it's really political. So that one's going to be more difficult to understand for some people, and I'm one of those people. So when I see the ending of it, I'm like, oh shit, that's just Third Impact is just, we're all done.
Yeah.
All this buildup was to watch us all die. Great.
Yeah. I that was one of the animes. I watched it and I was like, I think I'm done now.
Yeah, if you hit that one wrong, I can see that. That's like eating a hamburger from a place and find out the entire middle of it's raw every time. Every time. No, I'm not eating there anymore.
And I really had hope for the movie. I found out I had a friend. I don't know if he was doing it as
it's not done.
A sick
joke. Still doing stuff.
Yeah, are they?
Coming. Yeah, there's still more. If I understand right, there's still more down the pipe. There's something just came out recently. And a handful of years ago, so they keep redoing it. I mean, by the time it's over, Santa Claus will save the universe. Don't worry.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. The final angel will be Santa Claus, and Jesus Christ will come down. It'll be over. It's fine.
The epic.
Yeah, but yeah, I was complaining to him about it, and he's like, there's a movie, right? And he's like, it explains everything. And I was like, oh, awesome! Pop that in. It got 5 minutes in that, and I was like, he lied to me.
If you spend about as much time just searching on the internet as the movie is long, you still won't make sense of it.
Yeah. I'm sure
that's why I stopped watching anime, is because, it's like watching The Walking Dead. You start liking a character, and then they just fuck you world by killing that character off.
Yeah. I mean, so a couple of the ones that I've recommended, that happens very early. Like they make it a point to bring one character very, very close to them, to murder them, and then haunt them with them for the rest of the series.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so Battlestar Galactica at times. I'm like, Jesus Christ, just kill them all and be over with. Like, fuck it. Like, we're just going to hyper jump into the nearest planetoid. I'm done with this. I mean, we just keep running. We got 2 spears left, and the Nagati over there just won't stop playing with himself. So we're done.
So, speaking of character deaths, I was thinking something that reminds me of something like that. Not anime, but, close. It's the TV show Lost. So I watched only, on full disclaimer, I haven't seen all the seasons of Lost, but I got to a point and I was watching it with a friend, and we were kind of making fun of the fact that they kept pulling characters out of nowhere. And like they've had this central cast of characters that survived this plane wreck crash, and then suddenly somebody else would show up and you're like, where has this guy been 3 seasons? And so just like one random dude. And they had this, I forget his name on the show, but he was a heavier set guy, and he kind of like was a know-it-all. And they have this whole episode, and like he's in like 3 episodes. And I got to the point, and I said to my friend, I was like, I actually kind of like his character now. We were making fun of him at first. I was like, this is really well done. And then he handles a stick of dynamite. and he's like,
you're like, oh damn,
you have
he's gonna
to be
die.
Really careful. And then we're all watching it, just boom, and like bits of him go everywhere. And we were like, oh my god. They just built him up to blow him up, I guess, probably so they didn't blow up a main character. But they made me like him.
I got a question to pose. Now, when they do this in cinema, when they build up on a character to where you can either relate to them or, just enjoy them so much, and then kill them off, do you think that is a good way to do that? Like, do you feel like maybe just...
Yeah, I think it's
because
I don't like being upset. It upsets me every time. I don't like being upset. Entertainment is not enjoyable if I am upset, and I don't want to be upset.
Tommy and I have had a lot of late night calls before where I've had to explain to him, listen, most of the movies I would make, the ending would be cutting to black halfway through a climactic moment and going straight to credits, and that's all you fucking get. I want to build you up, and I want to crush you, because I feel like that's one of the easiest and most sensitive ways to get to somebody. Like, like it's hard to make a scary movie that will scare everybody, right? Some of us just aren't afraid of dumb shit. Some of us are more terrified of real things. So if you make like a terrorist film where they're hijacking an airplane and it's got someone's kid on board, and you know how you'd feel, right? Yeah, that would be terrifying. Indeed. Fucking Freddy Krueger coming at me in the middle of the night doesn't scare me. Do you know why? I have irritable bowel syndrome. I'm used to waking up in the middle of the night and having to run to the bathroom anyways. I'm afraid nothing's stopping me. Freddy Krueger is going to be holding my toilet paper. But you can take those movies where you can really build up the connection between 2 characters, and that is universal to everybody. Any kind of common bond between people, between friends, between you and your kid, between you and your neighbor, it doesn't really matter. Any kind of common bond, they can take that and they can build on it, and they can make it really pretty, and then they just crush it right before your eyes. And doing that, they can make a huge, very, very dramatic impact on you really easy. And so it's just, it's more like an easy plot device to get you drawn in and just angry enough with it to be like, oh, they have to kill these motherfuckers now.
Yeah.
I feel like Tarantino has mastered this art.
Oh yeah.
Tarantino started it, man.
Right.
What are you talking about?
I wouldn't say he started it, but I would say he definitely brought it out into the mainstream a lot better.
Yeah.
And you know, watching a Tarantino film sometimes is like watching. I don't really know what I could liken it to, actually. Now I was going to say like a bowl of oatmeal. It just really depends on what movie it is.
Yeah.
You know, some of them it's just like really, really benign and doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's real fun to watch, and it just kind of happens. And then some of them have a point that he's making so emphatically that it's blurring out the obscene violence that's happening in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't give you an example if I wanted to right
like
now of that.
Hitler's face getting shot off in Inglourious Basterds.
Inglourious Bastards. Yeah, actually, because how many times have you heard people talk about just that kind of aspect about if you could go back in time and shoot Hitler in the face? Oh, I would unload on that motherfucker, you know?
Yeah.
I always like
gave you visual to that now. Now you know what the shit that would look like. With that little mustache and the
yeah. I always like the Kill Bill, and they'd remove a limb and you'd have the spray just like a water hose.
Love it.
And they're just like spraying everyone in the room.
Oh, that's like some of those old school like Wu-Tang Clan style Asian films. Yeah, or they take off or the guy explodes his own heart.
Yeah. Like the old school badly dubbed films.
Yeah.
Hi.
Don't get us on the subject of bad overdubbed films.
They're amazing, sir. That's what they are. They're amazing.
You need to find a movie that Brian and I watched a few years ago called Robo Geisha.
Robo Geisha. Oh man.
I'm down. That sounds like something I'd like.
God.
It will mess you up, dude.
Is that a trauma film?
Geisha Tank.
Geisha. Oh, that one too. Oh God.
No, it's not a trauma film.
Oh yeah. No, it's not a trauma.
God,
it's
no.
a Japanese.
It has a much higher budget than a trauma film.
Okay, there we go.
Oh yeah. Now, and trust me, I love a good trauma film. Okay, the last one I watched was the one with the chicken that was going crazy and killing everybody. The gigantic ass chicken. I don't remember what it was called.
I liked the killer condom. It's the rubber that'll rub you out.
Oh my God! Yes, yeah. Oh, they had like Sergeant Kabuki-mon and fucking the Toxic Avenger back in the day.
Oh, I love Toxie.
Oh man, they need to make another one. They were gonna make another one of those a handful of years ago, but they just couldn't get it off the ground. But Troma's still out there making some stuff.
Yeah,
but it's kind of random.
Lloyd's got not all, but a huge amount of the library of the older stuff on YouTube for free. You can just watch all of it.
I will do that.
Probably just generating ad revenue off of it like crazy. But yeah, they've got like Cannibal the Musicals on there. That's like their top one.
Oh yeah.
Because we are Indians.
Indians. I love that. Anybody?
Thanks, Brian, for showing up, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Hope I didn't drone on too much.
It was a pleasure having you, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate it. It's good meeting you, man.
Welcome back anytime.
Hey, well, let me know. Let me know. I'll try and do a little bit better homework next time. I'll actually have a little bit more.
You had plenty of homework done, it sounds. So.
Oh no,
this
is just shit that's stuck in the Rolodex, man. We were just running off of last night's whiskey and White Russians at this point. No, it's fine. Like what I'm sweating out right now, that's vodka and half and half.
You wanted a White Russian recipe. I'm sure Tim could give you one.
Yeah, because making them in third fucking me up real bad. I just keep doing a third of vodka, a third of Kahlua, and then roughly a third of half and half, and about 2 of those in an Eskimo Joe cup, and you're done for the night. But then I had to stop and realize, like, when I looked at the big handle of vodka, I'd used this much in one night. That's why I have a hangover this morning. It wasn't because I had 2 drinks.
You were slurring your words whenever I
liters. I had 2 liters of alcohol, and I wasn't paying attention. So, yeah, I just won't do that again.
Awesome.
That's the reason why you were slurring your words last night.
Oh, man, I was hammered last night, yeah.
There's a either a movie or a show that somebody talks about a good recipe for a eggnog that's rum and ice.
Just rum and ice.
That's generally how I like my whiskey and soda.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, there
Give
you
me
go.
a whiskey and soda with no soda.
With no soda.
Yeah.
That's
And yeah.
usually on the show. I'm actually drinking a glass of Knob Creek, but I don't drink around my kiddo. So
There you go. I don't have
And
to.
it's
They don't stay upstairs now, so they don't see me.
Mine caused me to drink. I don't know. So
I didn't drink this much before the quarantine shit started happening.
yeah.
Now I'm just trying to keep up with the tolerance that I've already built.
Yeah. If I stop,
Can't let
I
that
start
go to
shaking.
waste.
I don't know.
'Cause eventually, I'm going to need that again. So
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for definitely joining us this week. All the co-hosts, we're all co-hosts here. There's no host. We're all co's. So thank you again for watching. We'll see you guys next week where we'll have a special guest that Tom will provide this time. He said he will do it. I did this week. He's got next week. So thank you guys.
Really?
Gotcha,
We'll
boo.
see you next time.
do a golf clap to take us out.